Thanks for your company. Prime Minister Tony Abbott's refusing to buy into speculation. His leadership is once again on the line, despite the increasing likelihood of a challenge, possibly as early as this week. Tony Abbott's been campaigning in Canning ahead of Saturday's by-election, which is seen as a crucial test of his leadership. It comes as the latest Ipsos Fairfax poll shows the Liberal Party's on track for a win in Canning, albeit much narrower than the last federal election. With me this morning to discuss this and the other issues of the day, the Finance Minister, Senator Matthias Cormann. Minister, thanks very much for your time. What do you make of this comment to me by one of your ministerial colleagues that a challenge is inevitable and, quote, it's coming like a freight train?
Well, it's very hard for me to comment on anonymous commentary. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm focused on doing the job that I was appointed to do, and that is to work as part of the economic team to help put Australia on a stronger economic and fiscal foundation for the future. Obviously, this week, all of us on the coalition side of the parliament are focused on doing everything we can to help and support Andrew Hastie, our candidate in Canning, achieve an important victory. I mean, this by-election on Saturday is about electing a new representative for the people of Canning, and it's obviously very important that we give Andrew Hastie the best possible opportunity to be successful.
Liberal sources have reminded me that in 2009 there was a leadership spill replacing Malcolm Turnbull with Tony Abbott 4 days before by-elections in the seat of Higgins and Bradfield, and they won both of those.
I'm not going to get into this sort of commentary. As far as I'm concerned, I continue to support the leadership team that took us successfully from opposition into government. I believe that our current leadership team of Tony Abbott and Julie Bishop continues to enjoy the overwhelming support of the party room, and obviously all of us have a job to do, and that is to focus on doing what is right by Australia.
What about the prospect of an election after the Canning by-election? This is something Laurie Oakes reported last night, apparently spooked some of your colleagues, that Mr Abbott would be considering an election, a snap election after Canning.
The next election is not due until next year. We still have a lot of work to do. When we came into government, we inherited a lot of challenges from the previous Labor government.
It'd be crazy to have one after Canning, though, wouldn't it, given where the polls are?
We still have a lot of work to do. I mean, the economy was weakening when we came into government. The economy is now in a stronger position than it would have been if we hadn't removed some of the lead that Labor put into our saddleback, like the carbon tax and the mining tax and red tape costs for small business.
So no chance an early election, snap election?
I mean, these are matters that are beyond my pay grade. But let
Not
me
far
just say,
beyond.
well, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the government is concerned, and indeed as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, we continue to have a lot of work to do, and the election is due sometime next year.
Some of your colleagues again, and this is public now via various reports, but I was advised that Andrew Nicolick sent a text message to Malcolm Turnbull urging him to issue a public statement of support. This was on Friday after those Daily Telegraph reports on a reshuffle. What do you think of that intervention by Mr Nicolick?
I'm not aware of the intervention in terms of what motivated it. As far as I'm concerned, all of us, whether we are cabinet ministers, whether we are backbenchers, all of us right now ought to focus on doing the right thing by the country, continuing to work to put Australia in a stronger foundation for the future, continuing to work to ensure Australia is safe and secure, and continuing to work to ensure we've got the best possible chance to win the by-election on Saturday. And I know Tony Abbott, Julie Bishop, Malcolm Turnbull, myself, all of us in the coalition party room want to see Andrew Hastie do well on Saturday.
You say to do the best thing by Australia. Do you accept that there's a fair chunk of your party that believes to do that you need to change leader?
Well, again, I mean, I'm not going to get distracted by this sort of commentary as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we went to the last election with a leadership team which was successful in getting us from opposition to government, which has been successful since then, implementing our plan for stronger growth, more jobs, and to repair the chaos that the previous government had created at our borders. So there is obviously a lot more work to be done. We are currently working on the agenda that we would want to take to the next election, and preparing ourselves for a second term agenda, and that obviously is going to be an important conversation between now and the next general election.
And who do you blame for all the talk then, the leadership talk?
I'm not going to get into a blame game. As far as I'm concerned, I'm doing my job. I'm doing the best I can every day, and I'm sure that all of my colleagues are focused on doing the best thing they can every day as well.
And what about in terms of the last few weeks, the Canning by-election? We've seen the result there's been a 10 double-digit swing against the government from the outset, well before this latest bout of leadership speculation. Do you accept that the government itself, that the Prime Minister, regardless of the talk, that he is on the nose with the electorate?
Well, by-elections can be difficult for incumbent governments. Obviously, we'll know on Saturday what the result is going to be. Right now, Andrew Hastie, who is an outstanding candidate, is working very hard to win the trust of the people of Canning to represent them in Canberra. And of course, all of us are working hard to support him in that effort.
Okay, so nothing to see here, basically.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that the important point right now is that the government continues to focus on doing everything we can to strengthen growth, create more jobs, and to ensure Australia's.
No, I admire your discipline and staying on message, but talking to all of your colleagues, and a lot of your colleagues, I shouldn't say all, but a big chunk of your colleagues, they are consumed by this right now.
Well, I'm saying the same privately as what I'm saying publicly, and that is that we ought to do everything we can.
The Prime Minister will be Prime Minister at the election next year?
Absolutely.
Tony Abbott will be?
Yes.
Okay. For the financial review, finally, we should look at this proposal, very interesting proposal or analysis by Chris Richardson from Deloitte Access Economics, that the GST increase to 15% could both provide compensation to low-income earners and cut the company tax rate to 25%. That sounds quite appealing, doesn't it?
Look, the contribution to the tax reform debate by Deloitte Economics today is a high-quality contribution. There's no doubt about that. From the government's point of view, we are committed to continuing down the path of lowering the overall tax burden in the economy and to look at raising the necessary revenue for government in the most efficient, least distorting way in the economy. That's why we got rid of the carbon tax and the mining tax, reduced company tax for small business, and that's why we are not proceeding with Labor's bank tax. Obviously, moving forward, we are very conscious of the fact that in Australia we've got too heavy a reliance on personal income tax. Company tax is too high by international standards. But in order to pursue medium to long-term tax reform to improve the competitiveness of our economy, we obviously have to have a conversation about how we can continue to get spending growth under control and how we can improve the tax mix overall.
Well, this would be an improvement, wouldn't it?
Well, I think that this is a very good contribution to the debate, and the debate and the conversation is obviously ongoing. Between now and the election, the coalition will finalise our tax reform agenda for a second term, and this is obviously a good input into our considerations.
Is it a hint as to where you're heading as well, in terms of Chris Richardson, a very good analyst of the budget and the tax take?
It's a very high quality input into the government's consideration, yes.
Minister, thanks so much for your time.
Always good to talk to you.